You was talking about the defensive tackle position, defensive edge, and like you said, right now the talks right now is what are the Lions going to do with their coordinators? That's the first domino to fall. Offensive coordinator is a very hot topic. We could focus on that, but we could gloss over the defensive coordinator position right now. According to the vibe coming out of Ford Field, the vibe is that Kelvin Shepard is going to be here next year, and at the very least, he's going to have some type of assistant coordinator to give him a hand. And I'm fine with that. I'm not opposed to it or anything. There's actually not a lot of names out there that I'm like, oh, they should definitely get this guy instead. You know, Raheem Morris. If we got Raheem Morris, then I would be in favor of it. But I don't know enough about Raheem Morris to like pound the table about it. I know of Raheem Morris just as the Atlanta Falcons coach, and I think he's a fine coach. I thought he was a fine coach. You know, it was the Atlanta Falcons. What are you going to do? But the other name I heard yesterday was former defensive coordinator for the Lions, Terrell Austin. Terrell Austin got dismissed, I believe, with the Caldwell regime. Uh, when we
Mm.
did have Terrell Austin here, I believe for 1 year we had the number two defense in the league with Sue and who else was on that team? I think Stephen Tulloch, Slay, DeAndre Levy. Um,
Yeah.
we had a maybe Ansa back then. But I heard that name
Yeah.
brought up, and he's been quietly doing his thing in the league. He hasn't fallen out the league. He just recently was on Mike Tomlin's staff as the defensive coordinator, and I also wouldn't knock that. That's a lesser name in the league. I feel like we know him around here locally, but around the league, I don't think he's that renowned. But he probably got some credibility, you know, coming off of Mike Tomlin's staff. But all that being said, you know, is it possible that you get him in here as an assistant D coordinator? Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna get rid of Kelvin Shepard, but I would like to see Terrell Austin come back here.
Yeah. That sounds like a fine pick. I think I mentioned the last time we talked about this that I figured that the Lions will keep Kelvin Shepard and get him a older veteran assistant that has the experience to guide him through and help him in situations where he just doesn't have the experience. And once again, I talked about throwing the Lions throwing their hires into the frying pan, and I feel like that is where Shep is now. He did an okay job last year, but if you give him somebody with that experience that can help guide him through certain situations and give him advice and like kind of be like uh extra voice when you're trying to figure out what to do, especially after halftime. I think that that would benefit him greatly because I do think Ship has the talent. I do think the players vibe with Ship, and I do think that when everything is running on all cylinders, Shep is the man. As he proved when he had a healthy defense. But when things start to break down, when you're running into those older, wily players, like when we ran into Aaron Rodgers, or you run into Mike Tomlinson, or you run into McVay, you just need that extra help to he needs that extra help to get him through those situations. But to your point that you said the last time, um, like the top guys are probably going to be going for defensive coordinator. Uh, the Lions are I think they're what's the word I'm looking for? Desirable team to work for, but as an but assistant defensive coordinator is probably not the desired position for top guys like that. So you probably do have to settle for what you say, Austin. What's his name again? Austin
Terrell Austin.
Terrell Austin. You probably do have to settle for guys like Terrell Austin who I mean, if he can get a defensive coordinator job, he probably that's probably the desired position. But you probably have to settle for lesser known guys in that position.
Last thing I'll say, I'm about to look up Terrell Austin's resume, but last thing I'll say about the Lions is, what is your dream hire? Because we pretty much got them all. We pretty much got all the cards on the table, um, barring Buffalo firing their head coach. But what is your dream scenario as far as offensive coordinator for the Lions?
Um, Arthur Smith. No, I'm bullshitting. I'm bullshitting. Nah. You know, of course, the name that everybody's thinking, the name that's on everybody's lips, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, is Mike McDaniel's. I think that that's who everybody wants him to hire. I think the only thing that's preventing that, the only thing that can prevent that from happening is that he takes a head coaching job somewhere. So I feel like either he's going to be a head coach or he's going to be the offensive coordinator for the Lions. Um, the sentiment around town seems to be that, yeah, I mean, what I hear everybody saying is, yeah, he could take a head coaching job right now, but everybody feels like he needs to rebuild his credibility and not just jump on the first head coaching job that comes along. Right now, the Raiders and I think the Raiders and the Titans are like the top commodities where he could be at. But they're saying he could come here, be an offensive coordinator, build up his stock for a year or two, and then go wherever he wanted to go next year, next season, or the season after that. So I think that I would love to see that here. I also heard a lot of people saying that, well, not a lot of people, but I heard some people saying that they don't think we can get they don't think we can get Michael McCarthy. And then when somebody asked them why, it was like, because we're us, we're the Lions. And we don't get things like that. We don't know those type of opportunities don't usually come our way. I just wanted to know what you thought about that. Do you? I mean, that's kind of a SOL mentality. Do you think that the Lions are able to make a hire that um I will call it triple A ish?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand the thoughts behind that. I don't know if everybody was clamoring for Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell is definitely not the cookie cutter Lions head coach that we've seen over the past few years, past decades. They actually took a shot on a guy who hasn't been a head coach before. Usually the head coaches usually they hire somebody who's been in the league and they had some modicum of success, and they come to the Lions and they pretty much just watch everything fall apart. and they took a swing on Dan Campbell, and
That's the
and
script.
and that's the script, man. And Dan Campbell broke out of that script along with the help of Sheila and Brad and everybody else. So we don't get things like Mike McDaniel. If we don't get Mike McDaniel, I'm gonna choose to believe that we didn't get Mike McDaniel because either, like you said, a better position was open to him, or they felt like his personality was not compatible with this coaching staff, which is a better theory that I've heard floated out there, and that I could see because Mike McDaniel is kind of a quirky guy. So and then the thought process is that I talked about it in the last podcast on why I thought David Blau was such a great fit for this team, who ended up going to Washington. I thought David Blau would be a great fit because I thought David Blau would be very uh, um, moldable. I thought Dan Campbell would be able to mold David Blau in the image that Dan Campbell wanted. Uh, Whereas I feel like Mike McDaniel is gonna have his ideas. He's been a head coach. He's been an offensive coordinator. He's got his own ideas. So I'm not saying they can't work together, but I am saying that he will have way more input, or he will want way more input than David Blau would would have, because David Blau will be
Yeah,
new to this position.
definitely. And yeah, I think that Mike McCarthy is the head choice for this job, but I've heard other names floating around. I don't know the names. But the quarterbacks coach for the Baltimore Ravens as was a I heard he was a candidate that they brought in for interview, and also um a guy from the I don't think he was the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, but he's on the staff for the offense for the Seahawks. Can't remember his name. And also Dan Orlovsky's name has been he put in his bid, said he wanted to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. And that's why Mike McDaniel is a home run. If it's not Mike McDaniel, then I want it to be somebody that I've never heard of. The Arthur Smiths of the world, those fit the bill of previous Lions regimes, of guys that have had a modicum of success in the league and come to the Lions, and we watch it fall apart. Speaking,
So
speaking
let
real
me
quick,
ask you this real quick.
let me close the book on Terrell Austin. Terrell Austin will be a perfect candidate for this defensive coordinator assistant job, because after he left the Lions, after Caldwell got fired, in 2018, he became the defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. He was there for, I don't know how long he was there, but he was fired in, I believe, the same season after
Dang.
after the Cincinnati Bengals defense became the first NFL defense in history to give up 500 plus yards in 3 straight games. This
Wow.
is against the
Wow.
Kansas City Chiefs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New Orleans Saints. But on January 8th of 2019, the following year, it was announced that Austin had been hired by Mike Tomlin as senior defensive assistant for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, okay, he's been there, done that. And on 3 years later, in February 9th, 2022, he was promoted as defensive coordinator for the Steelers after the retirement of their current defensive coordinator, Keith Butler.
So maybe it wasn't OC, maybe it was the assistant defensive coordinator they were bringing him in for.
What?
And everybody just got it. That the defensive coordinator, is that the position they were bringing him in for?
Who?
Arthur Smith.
No, Arthur Smith's the OC. No, the Steelers DC at the time are retired, and they promoted Terrell Austin to
Oh, Terrell Austin.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
that
promoted
okay.
him to the defense coordinator. So he's been with the Steelers since 2019, and the first half of that he was the exact position that the Lions are looking for, a senior defensive assistant.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I can see that. What a better? I mean, like I said, man, I think the Lions is a desirable position in the NFL now. It might have took a hit after this season, but we still have the core of our team. We still have explosive, hot players, and I think we will make a come up. But what I wanted to ask you was, um, let's say everybody is saying Mike McCarthy. Everybody wants Mike McCarthy, and we know that if Mike McCarthy um gets the
McDaniel.
job, then huh?
McDaniel.
If yeah, I'm sorry, Mike
Nobody.
McDaniel.
I just had to say that because nobody wants Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, no. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But if he does get the job, then you know that he is, then the offense is his. But let's say it's one of these other guys, like a no-name guy, like you said, or like Dan Orlovsky, or one of these no-name guys. Let's say it's that. I know when we were talking about David Blau, you were in favor of um, Dan Campbell still running the offense. If it's not Mike McDaniel's, do you still are you still in favor of Dan Campbell running calling the plays?
If it's not McDaniel and it's not a established offensive coordinator in this league, then yeah, I'm still in favor of that because at the end of the day, if this offensive coordinator is worthy and making progress in the system, then I have no doubt that Dan Campbell will eventually succeed play calling to him. Everybody talks about how that's what he did with Ben Johnson. He wasn't calling plays, but I don't think he's calling. Well, no, he's calling plays. Yeah, after he
He's
fired.
calling plays.
Yeah, after he fired my man.
Anthony
Yeah,
Lynn.
Anthony Lynn. Yeah. After he fired him, he eventually gave it to Ben Johnson. So I think he would follow that same path if it was a guy who was an up and coming offensive coordinator in this league.
Okay. I was just interested to see. I don't have a problem with Dan Campbell calling plays. If I think that Dan Campbell is a good play caller. I think the problem that we had this year was two things. We didn't have the offense that Dan thought we had. He still thought we had the offense that we had last year, the offensive line that we had last year. And I think that with up and coming offensive coordinator that's smart and that can get in the room with Dan Campbell and they can draw up plays, I think that that can be successful as long as they're being creative and they're coming up with new and innovative plays on the fly. Um, but you need somebody smart and like you said, somebody up and coming to be able to do that. So yeah, so I agree with you.
I guess
And
the
then
question is, do you think Mike
well,
Tomlin coaches again in the NFL?
I definitely think Mike Tomlin coaches again in the NFL, and I think that after the Dolphins let go of Mike McDaniels, that Mike Tomlin would be perfect there.
Hmm. Why?
Just because of his success rate and the potential that the Miami has, only because Miami isn't a bad team. You know what I'm saying? I think that Miami has a ready made offense with just missing a couple of pieces. And if the major flaw for me that I thought that was holding Miami back was their defense. And Mike Tomlin is a defensive guy. If he can get that defense rolling, Miami will be a powerhouse.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I thought Miami's biggest problem was that they Mike McDaniel just wasn't the head coach needed for there. Mike Tomlin will be a huge upgrade from Mike McDaniel in terms of leadership, and Mike Tomlin has proven that he can still have winning seasons with a bad quarterback. So no, I mean you might be on something. Miami might be a good spot for him. Personally, I don't think that he coaches again in the NFL. Uh,
Really?
he, he's not going to go out like Cowher because Cowher went out with the Super Bowl. But at the same time, Mike Tomlin does have a Super Bowl, and he did such a long stint with the Steelers that Mike Tomlin could do anything television wise wherever Mike Tomlin went. And if I saw Mike Tomlin, I know I would see it on Twitter, but if Mike Tomlin was on one of these panels or something like that, I listen to Mike Tomlin speak, all day. Uh, so I think he's got a bright career in broadcasting, or not broadcasting, but television. He's got a bright future in television ahead of him.
I mean, I don't know. My he seemed like he's Mike Tomlin seems kind of standoffish. Uh, seems like the like as a coach, yeah, he did talk a lot, but he was real aggressive. He had a kind of a I don't want to compare them to two because they're totally different, but he had kind of a AG kind of standoffish type personality.
I see what you're
but
saying, but Ryan Clark has that same has a similar. There you go. You could sit right next to Ryan Clark. They get along great. But Ryan Clark's got
Mhm.
a real, not volatile, but he's got a standoffish personality. Like he's just waiting for you to finish so he could jump on you. And I think Mike Tomlin does a much better job of being PC about it, of cleaning it up, and never and don't forget, it failed miserably. But they brought in Bill Belichick to be a analyst for a hot minute.
Let me ask you this: if you were Mike Tomlin, I mean, if you were Mike Tomlin and I was the Dolphins, and I just say, hey, the Giants just made Jim Harbaugh the highest paid coach in NFL history, how would you like to top that? Would you take that job?
I gotta be honest, man. I think that Mike Tomlin is a very proud man, and I don't know if he would sacrifice his legacy. And some people discredit his legacy because he only won one Super Bowl, hadn't won a playoff game in like 6, 7 years, but he made it every year and always had a winning record. Um, that's a legacy, you know. And right now, in the here and now, people are downgrading it and whatever, spitting all over it. But a couple years down the road, we're gonna look back and be like, yeah, no, Mike Tomlin was one of the greatest. And
Yeah,
going to Miami, I don't think that will that'll I think that'll tarnish his legacy. So if he's I think if he went to Miami, I think you're gonna get that 1 year coach bump where they come out and they have a great year, just like they got when they got Mike McDaniel. Came out, everything was roses and sunshine, and then after that, it went all downhill from there. The only reason I wouldn't take the Miami job is the joke that I made, which is I think Tua is like under contract there for some years, and it's going to be hard to move him. And that offense just looked nothing like it did the first year Mike McDaniel was there. So you have to revamp that offense. We don't know what's happening with Tyreek Hill. Tua is one concussion away. like it,
we had to
and the
look into
defense
two.
and the
We
defense
had
is we disagree on the defense. I don't think the defense is all that great. Their quote unquote best player was Jalen Phillips, who they traded. I don't know who else you got down there off the top of my head, but I wouldn't take that job if I was Mike Tomlin.
yeah. Well, that's what I said. The defense wasn't great, but you get the job. You know what I'm saying? You fix up your defense. And I will see what the hit is on Tua, man. I would really like to know what the hit is on Tua because I don't think the Dolphins are going to go forward with Tua. Like you said, he's one concussion away. Even if you did, I mean, so even if you did go forward with him, you would still have to have his his backup in place or a suitable backup in place in case he does go down with a concussion because you could be one hit away from not having a quarterback. And I
Let me
don't
see.
think they're running back with Huntley or some like Tyrod Taylor or somebody. I think they put a credible backup quarterback. If they go for it with Tua, I think they put a credible backup quarterback in this place. Somebody who could take the reins if need be. But I don't think I think they're gonna take the hit.
They can't. I mean, they can't. Like they if they did, it would have to be next season because I hate how they got this broken down. It says 2026. Is that like this upcoming season or is that finishing off
That's
last season?
I
But
think that's finishing off last season.
well, they got it all in by 25, 20. Like there's no 25, 26. It's just 2025 and then you move on to 2026. Because according to this, 2026, regardless of whether Tua is on the team or not, he's gonna his cap hit is 99 million. So they're probably
I think that's this year because the Super Bowl this year will be in 26. So I think that's this year.
I would believe that would be last year, but Even so, his dead cap this year, yeah. Tua's contract is nasty. He just signed that contract not too long ago, so it would make sense. The same way we can't move. Well, we can't move on from Jared Goff because he has no trade clause. But Tua, let's see, Tua. I can't spell that contract. Tua signed that contract. It just tells me, yeah, he's got a 4-year deal, $212 million. He signed it in
Can you
2024. He's just
can you
signed it.
can you type in dead cap hit for Tua?
Dead cap hit to God, this guy's name. Tagovailoa. 2026, 2027 season. Yeah, the Miami Dolphins' decision to cut Tua Tagovailoa would result in a dead cap hit of $99.2 million for the 2026 season. If the
Woo.
cut occurs before June 1st, the remaining dead cap will be allocated to the current year and the following year. If the cut is designated as a post June 1st release, the dead cap would split across the current year, $67.4 million, and the following year of $31 million. So best case scenario, cap hit would be $67 million, if I'm reading that right.
Yeah, and then the year after that it'd be 31. So you could split it up, but you would have to take a 67 million dollar cap hit.
While we're on the subject, Jared dead cap, Jared Goff. Moving on. They gave me such a succinct answer for. Let's see, what got here. 2026 cap hit is 69 million. So by that math, I mean, let's by that math. What they say? They said they cut to a post. It would be what 66 the first year
Yeah,
and 30 the
31 the
second,
next. Yeah.
31, so 99, which would make the grand total. So yeah, I mean, it'll be 40 billion this year, 25, 26.
Hey. So
Uh,
you're
you
saying there's a chance.
did.
Detroit